When you got to take off the wardrobe at the end of the day, did that help you separate yourself from your character?
I couldn't wait to get it off.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the actors who loathe the personalities, behaviours and or story arcs of the characters they portrayed in film and television.
Just remember what Huey Long said, that every man's a king and I'm the king around here. And don't you forget it.
Since some of these detail important plot points and character development, a spoiler warning is now in effect. Number 20, Jacob Elordi as Noah Flynn, the Kissing Booth trilogy.
Why are you pretending to be my dad?
It was the only way I could think to get you on the phone.
Oh, that is not true.
2023 was a big year for Jacob Elordi, the rising star who was part of two critically acclaimed films, Saltburn and Priscilla. Most became familiar with Elordi as Nate in Euphoria, but before that he played Noah Flynn in Netflix's Kissing Booth franchise. While he's remained grateful for the early work, he hasn't been shy about calling the movies ridiculous and his character awful.
First of all, don't be like Noah Flynn. I wouldn't want to be like that in real life.
When preparing for the role, the actor was frustrated that his character wouldn't smoke like he does in the book, a habit Elordi felt was a part of Noah's bad boy persona. He also didn't love the daily workout regimen he had to do, or the attention on his body, which made him extremely uncomfortable. Number 19, Ed Harris as the Man in Black, Westworld. As we'll discuss in many entries on this list, actors sometimes don't like the direction of their characters. They usually remain professional, but it's still frustrating.
Winning doesn't mean anything unless someone else loses. Which means you're here to be the loser.
Ed Harris experienced this in the third season of Westworld, when his mysterious Man in Black character became the Man in White, going from a deadly gunslinger to a good guy. The actor stuck it out and played the part, or parts, but he admitted that filming scenes as a new virtuous character was aggravating. However, Harris's personal feelings about the unpleasant shift helped influence his performance. So, silver lining?
Maybe you're not even you. Would you even know if you'd been changed?
Number 18, George Reeves as Superman, Superman and the Mole Men, and Adventures of Superman. In 1951, George Reeves, desperate for an actual gig, signed on to be Superman in Adventures of Superman, beginning with the pilot/movie Superman and the Mole Men. But after he became the Man of Steel, he struggled to find any other work.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane!
It's Superman! Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men.
Being Superman brought him fame, but seemingly hurt his chances for other opportunities. Reeves told the Akron Beacon Journal, "Most movie producers feel I'm too closely identified with Superman, so they won't use me. It's common for an actor to get bored with a role when they no longer feel challenged," which appears to be the case with Reeves.
You said Superman? Seem to have heard of him before somewhere. Who is Superman?
According to actor Ben Weldon, the star once said, "Here I am, wasting my life." Number 17, Matthew Modine as Dr. Martin Brenner, Stranger Things.
Let us work together again. You and I. Daughter. And Papa.
There are multiple antagonists throughout Stranger Things, most of which are supernatural, but one very real human with nefarious intentions is Dr. Martin Brenner, aka Papa, played by Matthew Modine. While he doesn't seem to hate playing the role, like the audience, he hates the character's actions. Speaking about filming season 4's scene when he tortures 001/Henry Creel/Vecna, Modine said, "It made me sick to my stomach." Portraying the monstrous Doctor was physically and mentally exhausting. But behind the scenes, Matthew Modine is nothing like Brenner and has such a great kinship with Millie Bobby Brown that she asked him to officiate her wedding.
Millie thought it'd be great, and then Jake said it'd be a great idea. So I wrote the wedding vows, and they loved what I wrote for them to join hands and become a husband and wife.
Number 16, Harrison Ford as Han Solo, Star Wars franchise.
Did you shoot Greedo first, or did Greedo shoot you first?
I don't care.
With an impressive decades-long filmography, Harrison Ford has played many memorable characters, but one role he'll always be associated with is Han Solo from the original Star Wars trilogy from 1977 to 1983, plus the infamously awful Star Wars Holiday Special. Ford has expressed in interviews that he felt done after 3 films, and that Han Solo was not so interesting to him.
As a character, he was, he was not so interesting to me. I thought he should have died in the last one.
For years, he wanted the character killed off, which ultimately didn't happen until 2015's The Force Awakens. Others argue that believing Han should have a meaningful death doesn't mean he hates the character, but one thing's for sure, he despises hypotheticals, like who would win in a fight between Han Solo and his other iconic character, Indiana Jones. Number 15, Christopher Plummer as Captain Georg von Trapp, The Sound of Music. 1965's The Sound of Music is considered one of the most beloved musicals of all time. But over the years, Christopher Plummer, who starred as family patriarch Captain Georg von Trapp, has had few nice things to say.
I think the part in The Sound of Music was the toughest.
Why?
Because it was so awful and sentimental and gooey.
In a 1982 interview, he called it a lousy part, and that he had to use every trick you know to fill the empty carcass of the role. As for the film itself, Plummer found the classic too sentimental and gooey, but by the time the 50th anniversary came around in 2015, the actor had a change of tune and came to appreciate the film's legacy.
I do respect it, even though I've been very naughty about it over the years. I think it's a marvelous family movie. And we need a family movie in these rough times.
Number 14, Evangeline Lilly as Kate Austen, Lost. In the early seasons of ABC's hit drama Lost, Kate Austen, one of the island-bound plane crash survivors, was her own person. But as the show progressed, her personality and storylines weren't as compelling.
Hey, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna...
Evangeline Lilly, who starred as Kate for all 6 seasons, felt her character became too focused on the love triangle between Jack and Sawyer and started to lack agency. In 2018, Lilly told the Lost Boys podcast that she'd get so irritated that her kind of cool character became obnoxious that she'd throw scripts across rooms.
I felt that my character went from being autonomous, really having her own story and her own journey and her own agendas, to chasing 2 men around the island.
She wasn't alone in her frustration though. Many fans and critics had similar complaint with the increasingly sidelined Kate. Number 13, David Harewood as Hank Henshaw, aka Cyborg Superman, Supergirl. David Harewood was tasked with 2 dual roles on the CW's Supergirl. In the first season, he played John Jones, aka Martian Manhunter, impersonating Hank Henshaw, ex-CIA agent and the head of the Department of Extra Normal Operation.
My name is John Jones.
But Harewood also played the real Henshaw, who later became Cyborg Superman. When the star was asked to choose which character was the most fun to play, he gave an honest answer. Although he was excited to play Cyborg Superman, Harewood's enthusiasm waned as he felt the character was boring and underdeveloped. He also criticised the villain's cheap-looking getup. However, Harewood stuck around for all 6 seasons.
Malefic isn't the monster here, Sean. You are.
Number 12, Ryan Reynolds as Wade Wilson, aka Weapon 11/Deadpool, X-Men Origins Wolverine. We know what you're thinking. Obviously, Ryan Reynolds loves playing Deadpool, but before he got the 2016 solo film off the ground, he had to play a version of the character that fans, including himself, absolutely hated.
And then I remember telling one of the studio execs, I said, "You guys people are gonna go nuts over this," and he was like, "I know, right?" And I was like, "No, not in a good way.
No, nuts.
No,
People went insane.
The Deadpool character, you can't do this to the Deadpool character."
In 2009's X-Men Origins Wolverine, Wade Wilson was introduced as a member of William Stryker's Team X. By the end, he's been transformed into Weapon 11, a mutant killer, complete with laser eyes, retractable katanas, and his mouth sewn shut. Reynolds stated that the studio insisted on this unfaithful take on the merc with a mouth, an experience he's described as frustrating. However, it turned into more meta jokes for the subsequent and future Deadpool films, so maybe it wasn't all bad.
Hey, it's me. Don't scratch. Just cleaning up the timelines.
Number 11, Allison Williams as Marnie Michaels, Girls. From the point of its initial release, Lena Dunham's show Girls received plenty of criticism for its portrayal of spoiled and entitled millennial women, even though that was obviously the point.
What does it even feel like to be loved that much? I don't know, I can't feel it anymore.
One of the most reprehensible characters on the show is Marnie, Hannah's friend who makes many questionable decisions throughout her story arc. Actress Allison Williams, who portrays her, said to BuzzFeed, "Marnie would drive me crazy if we were friends in real life.
I'm gonna put on my party dress and my sorry face and I'm gonna get him back."
She went on to detail all of the missteps that Marnie made during the show's run, stating that it was difficult to be there with her through it all.
You are a moron! Seriously? Why can't you understand this?
Number 10, Blake Lively as Serena van der Woodsen, Gossip Girl. Now, Blake Lively is undeniably a Hollywood A-lister, and while she had acted before Gossip Girl, most would agree that it was her big break.
You're leaving?
Yeah, I don't feel well. I just wanted to come by and say hi. I'll see you at school tomorrow.
She has since worried about viewers relating her to her character, mainly because of the dubious behaviour that Serena often engaged in. In 2015, she told Allure, "It always felt a little personally compromising. You want to be putting a better message out there."
My world turned you from a person with integrity into a cruel satirist. I mean, you're worse than Gossip Girl. At least she has a conscience.
Getting into the specifics, she added, "I would not be proud to be the person who gave someone the cocaine that made them overdose, and then shot someone and slept with someone else's boyfriend."
You're supposed to take the other person's feelings into consideration.
I'm sorry, but it happened so quickly, and honestly, I didn't think you'd care.
Number 9, Katherine Heigl as Allison Scott, Knocked Up. Katherine Heigl was once a rom-com staple, but her popularity dwindled after she publicly criticised some of her work in a 2008 Vanity Fair interview. The actor was unhappy with Izzy Stevens' uncharacteristic decision in the 4th season of Grey's Anatomy, and therefore opted out of Emmy consideration.
There was a part of me that thought, because I had won the year before, that I needed juicy, dramatic, emotional material, and I just didn't have that season.
In this case, Heigl was displeased with the writing. However, her issue with Knocked Up was a different story. She played Allison Scott, the woman who had a one-night stand with Seth Rogen's Ben Stone and became pregnant. She believed the portrayal of Allison was sexist, saying the character was always a killjoy and a shrew, while the male characters got to be lovable, goofy, fun-loving guys.
Look, I forgot you were sleeping over. I'm sorry, okay?
Yeah, because you're getting high off your huge bong. How am I supposed to be comfortable with the idea that you can take care of me and the baby if you are always getting high?
The media attention around her opinions ultimately hurt her career. Number 8, Sir Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Star Wars Trilogy. Sir Alec Guinness seemed to have a love-hate relationship with playing Obi-Wan Kenobi, first appearing in 1977's Star Wars.
And then I started reading, and it seemed to me the dialogue was pretty ropey.
But I had to go on turning the page.
He reluctantly reprised the role in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, only after negotiating a higher salary and a percentage of the box office earnings. Publicly and privately, the late actor frequently referred to George Lucas's dialogue as bloody awful, banal, and excruciating. In a letter written to his friend Anne Kaufman, Guinness didn't have the most positive things to say about his experience filming or the lines for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
New rubbish dialogue reaches me every other day on wadges of pink paper, and none of it makes my character clear or even bearable.
As an award-winning actor on stage and screen, Guinness wasn't thrilled with the sudden recognition for this one role. However, this didn't stop him from collecting millions in royalties. Number 7. Imelda Staunton as Dolores Umbridge, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1.
You're lying. Wands only choose witches, and you are not a witch.
From being tormented by Draco Malfoy to repeatedly almost getting killed by Voldemort, Harry Potter has dealt with his fair share of evil villains. But fans would argue that Dolores Umbridge, one of the many Defense Against the Dark Arts professors, ranks high on the lost list of Wizarding World antagonists. Imelda Staunton, who played the pink-clad authoritarian in 2 Harry Potter films, definitely agrees. In 2016, she told Entertainment Weekly's Binge podcast that the deceivingly soft Umbridge was a bloody monster, whom she didn't sympathise with at all. Although Staunton enjoyed the experience as an actor, she cited the most challenging scene to film was torturing Harry in detention, a moment that's still painful to watch just as a viewer.
Because you know, deep down, you deserve to be punished. Don't you, Mr. Potter?
Number 6. Stanley Tucci as George Harvey, The Lovely Bones. Playing a villain may have its fun moments, but embodying serial killers is often a taxing job for an actor. Stanley Tucci, well known for being funny and likeable, struggled with his character in Peter Jackson's film adaptation of The Lovely Bones.
I would not play George Harvey again in The Lovely Bones. That was horrible. It's a wonderful movie, but it was a tough experience, simply because of the role.
The supernatural thriller centered on Susie Salmon, a girl stuck in the in-between, watching over her grief-stricken family and the man who took her life. Tucci's George Harvey appears as a normal guy, but commits horrible acts, requiring the actor to research similar real-life criminals like Dennis Rader, aka the BTK killer. As a parent, the dark subject matter took such a toll on the actor that he almost left the film.
I tried to get out of playing the role, which was crazy because I needed a job. I was like, why do you want me? And he said, because you're funny. And I thought, okay. But I understand what he was saying.
Tucci's chilling performance earned an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Number 5. Sean Connery as James Bond, James Bond franchise. Scottish actor Sean Connery brought the titular British spy in Ian Fleming's James Bond series to the big screen in 1962's Dr. No. However, as with many actors who become forever linked to a certain character, he was over it by the 5th film, You Only Live Twice.
You'll need the best man we've got.
And who do you suggest?
Well, me.
Connery worried about being typecast and didn't enjoy the fame that came with playing the iconic 007. He briefly left the role behind, but returned for 1971's Diamonds Are Forever, and a decade later agreed to a final appearance in 1983's Never Say Never Again.
What brings you to Nassau, James?
I'm fishing.
For what?
Anything I can get.
Though much of his resentment stems from issues with the producers and salary disputes, he told The Observer in 2004 that he always hated James Bond and would like to kill him. Number 4. Marlon Brando as Stanley Kowalski, A Streetcar Named Desire. The role of Stanley Kowalski in 1951's A Streetcar Named Desire is widely considered as one of Marlon Brando's best performances, and that's saying something.
Hey, Stella! Hey,
He first played the brutish character in Tennessee Williams' play, then joined Elia Kazan's film adaptation. While the performance earned him an Oscar nomination for Best Actor, Brando didn't like that critics and audiences believed he must be a lot like Stanley. Considering the character was a cruel, egotistical, abusive man, it's understandable why he wanted people to know that he was the antithesis of Stanley Kowalski.
Well, how right you was. I was common as dirt. You showed me a snapshot of a place with them columns, and I pulled you down off them columns, and you loved it.
In David Richard Jones's 1986 book, Great Directors at Work, Brando said, "I detest the character." Number 3, Leonardo DiCaprio as Monsieur Calvin J. Candy, Django Unchained.
It was this incredibly interesting, horrifically, there was absolutely nothing about this man that I could identify with.
Throughout his legendary filmography, Quentin Tarantino has created plenty of villainous characters that are easy to hate, but many can agree that Monsieur Calvin J. Candy in Django Unchained, the plantation owner who enslaved Django's wife Broomhilda, was among the worst. Tarantino himself hated the character he created, as did Leonardo DiCaprio, who was tasked with inhibiting someone he described as deplorable, indulgent, horrendous, and racist.
This was one of the most narcissistic, self-indulgent, racist, most despicable characters I've ever read in my entire life.
The actor understandably found the cruel and twisted Calvin Candy a difficult person to portray, and even struggled to say racial slurs, of which there were many. DiCaprio always delivers stellar performances, and with a character so abhorrent as Candy, it was all the more effective. Number 2, Robert Pattinson as Edward Cullen, The Twilight Saga.
I also think that if I tried to play it lighthearted, the way I would do it would end up looking so wrong, that I'd probably end up looking even more like a psychopath.
Robert Pattinson is known for his work in eclectic films like Good Time, The Lighthouse, and The Batman, but nearly everyone remembers him as immortal heartthrob Edward Cullen in Twilight, and remembers just how much he hated the sparkly vampire. You'll find many interviews of the actor calling out the nonsensical aspects of the character and his stalker behaviour, but also the story itself. Pattinson once told Empire, "The more I read the script, the more I hated this guy, so that's how I played him, as a manic depressive who hates himself." These days he still likes to poke fun at the phenomenon, but has been more positive about the role. While doing the press for The Batman, Pattinson even defended the franchise. Well, sort of.
I didn't watch Twilight. Oh.
Yeah, right.
Sorry. Not my thing.
No, it's not even cool to be a hater anymore.
I don't hate it, I just didn't see it. I just didn't participate in it.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, Penn Badgley as Joe Goldberg, You. From the beginning, Penn Badgley was very vocal about his disdain for Joe Goldberg, the serial stalker and murderer at the centre of You. When people online began romanticising and even defending Joe's disturbing behaviour, the actor was quick to remind everyone that his character was a manipulative sociopath.
Obviously, Joe is one of the worst people ever. Don't aspire to be like him. Don't defend him ever. Don't ever defend him. He doesn't need it.
It didn't take long before fans made comparisons to Badgley's Dan Humphrey on Gossip Girl, another character he found problematic. To be fair, it would be concerning if Badgley didn't hate Joe, or Dan for that matter. He even believes the characters would equally dislike each other.
Yeah, they would really despise each other. They would have narrations inside of their minds about it, and then I guess Joe would probably kill Dan.
By now, he's made it clear that no one hates Joe Goldberg more than him. Did you hate any of these characters as much as the actors did? Share your thoughts in the comments below.
Star Wars was a big success, so I was happy to come back and play Han Solo again and again, but that was enough.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.